Welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today we're diving deep into something really crucial if you're tracking global talent, Canada's express entry system. And we're really zeroing in on the very first draw of August 2025. Now, this isn't just about crunching numbers. It's more about understanding, Canada's shifting immigration strategy. What do these details really tell us? Our mission here is to pull out the most important insights for you, give you that shortcut to being really well informed on this.
Absolutely. And it's a vital area to watch. Anyone interested in how countries are shaping their futures through immigration, these little shifts and draws, they can signal some really big trends. It's policy in action, really.
Okay, so let's unpack this first August draw then. What are the key details that, jump out right away?
Right. So Canada's Immigration Department, IRCC, they held their first express entry draw for August back on the 6th. This one, draw number 358 overall, was very specific. It was only for candidates in the provincial nominee program stream, PNP.
PNP, right. And just quickly, for anyone listening, provincial nominee program. That means these are folks who've basically been picked by a Canadian province because they need their specific skills there. Is that right?
Precisely. Yeah, they've got a nomination from a province or territory because that region has specific labor market needs. Now, in this August 6th draw, IRCC sent out 225 invitations to apply ITAs to these people. The score cutoff, the comprehensive ranking system, or CRS score, was 739.
739.
Mm-hmm. And they used the standard tie-breaking rule, too. If people had the same score, the ones who got their profile in earlier, before about 6:35 a.m. UTC on April 23rd, 2025, they got priority.
Wow, that's always so specific, that tiebreaker. It really shows how competitive it is. But just focusing on PNP and only 225 invitations.
Yeah.
What's the significance there? Why so specific and, relatively few ITAs?
Well, the PNP focus really highlights Canada's commitment to making sure immigration meets those specific regional needs. What Manitoba needs might be different from what British Columbia needs. These nominees are targeted for a reason. And the number, 225, it is pretty modest compared to some draws we see. It usually signals a really targeted approach, not just casting a wide net. They're likely filling very specific spots here. Precision over volume, you could say.
Okay, that makes sense. Targeted approach. Now, we've thrown around terms like express entry, CRS, ITAs. Maybe before we get into comparing draws and looking at trends, could you give us a quick rundown? Just how does this express entry system actually work? It's kind of the engine behind all this, right?
Absolutely. Good idea. So express entry started back in 2015. It's basically Canada's main online system for managing applications from skilled workers who want permanent residency. Think of it like a central hub for three main economic immigration programs. There's the Federal Skilled Worker Program, that's for skilled workers globally. Then the Canadian Experience Class, or CEC, that's key. It's for people who already have Canadian work experience. And of course, the provincial nominee programs, the PNP we just talked about, for those nominated by a province.
So it's like three main pathways, but all funneling through this one system.
Exactly. And the heart of that system is the CRS, the comprehensive ranking system. It's basically a point system. IRCC uses it to rank everyone in the express entry pool. It looks at things like your age, education level, your English and or French skills, which are super important in Canada, and your skilled work experience. The whole point is to identify candidates who are most likely to, settle successfully and contribute to Canada's economy.
Got it. So it's almost like a scoring game to get in.
Yeah.
You put in your profile, the system scores you on those factors. And if your score is high enough compared to others at that moment, you get invited. And ITA, it's not just about being eligible, it's about being ranked highly.
That's a perfect way to put it. It really captures the competitive side. Every point counts: age, education, language, work history. They all add up. And yeah, only the top scoring candidates in each draw get that invitation to apply for permanent residence. It keeps the system merit-based and focused on selecting people who are, seen as having the best chance to integrate quickly. It's very strategic.
Okay, that clarifies things nicely. Now, with that foundation, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. How does this August draw stack up against, say, what we saw in July? Context is everything here, isn't it?
It really is. So if we look just before this, the previous PNP-only draw was on July 21st, 2025. In that July draw, they issued 202 ITAs, slightly fewer. But the CRS cutoff was way higher, 788 points.
788 down to 739.
Wow. Exactly. This August draw saw a 49-point drop in the CRS cutoff compared to the last PNP round. That's substantial.
A 49-point drop.
Right.
That is huge. My first thought is, is that a blip or something more? And for someone sitting in the pool, what does a drop like that mean? Does it suddenly make things feel more accessible? Does it change their outlook?
Oh, absolutely. For a candidate in the pool, seeing a 49-point decrease makes a massive difference. It makes getting an ITA potentially much more achievable. Profiles that might have been, just below the cutoff before, suddenly they're in the running. That's potentially life-changing news for people. It could definitely boost morale. As for whether it's sustainable, hard to say from one draw, but such a big drop in a PNP draw could mean a couple of things. Maybe provinces needed to fill specific spots urgently, or maybe the pool of very high-scoring PNP candidates thinned out a bit, so IRCC had to dip lower to meet the provincial targets. It's something to watch.
Right, so it's not just about your own score in isolation, but also about who else is in the pool for that specific category at that specific time.
Exactly. It's this constant interplay. Provincial demand, the supply of candidates in the pool, and IRCC's overall immigration targets for the year. It's all connected.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit then. If we look at the bigger picture, the broader trends for express entry in 2025, what patterns are emerging?
Well, broadening the view, we see IRCC has issued just under 50,000 ITAs so far in 2025, 49,628 to be exact, across all the different streams. But what's really telling is the pattern of the draws this year. They've mostly been alternating between PNP draws like this one and Canadian Experience Class CEC draws, back and forth. And alongside that, we've seen these regularly scheduled category-based draws, targeting specific occupations or skills. We've seen draws specifically for healthcare workers, people in education, and significantly draws focused on French language proficiency.
Right, so this alternating pattern, these specific category draws, what does that tell us about Canada's overall immigration goals for the year? What's the strategy behind that? It really feels like they're constantly fine-tuning this whole system.
They really are fine-tuning. This mix of alternating PNP, CEC, and focused category draws, it's clearly a strategic approach. It lets Canada balance different priorities. The PNP draws, as we said, support those specific regional needs, get skills where provinces say they need them most. The CEC draws focus on keeping talent that's already in Canada, people with Canadian work experience who've shown they can integrate.
So attracting new talent for specific gaps, but also making sure they keep the talent they've already invested in.
Precisely. And then those category-based draws, healthcare, French speakers, maybe STEM fields, sometimes they're laser focused on tackling critical labor shortages nationwide, or in the case of French proficiency, supporting Canada's official bilingualism. It shows a really sophisticated responsive system trying to hit multiple targets at once, immediate economic needs, social integration, long-term national goals. It's a complex balancing act.
Definitely sounds complex.
Yeah.
So let's try and connect all these dots now. This specific August 6th PNP draw, hashtag 358. What does it really signify when we put it all together with these broader strategies and balances?
Yeah, connecting the dots. This draw isn't just a one-off number. It really highlights how Canada's trying to manage these different priorities. First, like we've stressed, it underscores that strong commitment to provincial needs. PNP draws ensure immigration is directly helping economies from coast to coast. Second, even though this draw was PNP, the overall pattern shows they're keeping up momentum for people already in Canada, the CEC stream. They want to retain international students and temporary workers who've proven themselves. It builds reliable talent pipeline. And third, it just reinforces that ongoing focus on high-demand sectors and language skills through those category-based rounds. They're being very specific about who they invite based on national priorities.
It's clear it's a very nuanced, evolving approach. Not just opening the doors, but carefully selecting who comes through based on multiple factors. Which raises a big question. What might these evolving priorities signal for the future? For immigration policy down the road, or maybe for people planning their move to Canada right now, it seems quite dynamic.
It is very dynamic. And for aspiring immigrants, I think it signals that it's becoming even more important to not just meet the basic criteria, but to really understand and align with these specific Canadian priorities. For instance, having that Canadian work experience for CEC, strong French skills, or experience in a targeted sector like healthcare, skilled trades, maybe tech, that could significantly boost your chances compared to just having a generally high score. It suggests a potential continued shift towards highly selective, economically driven immigration, maybe with even more weight given to provincial nominations and specific skills gaps. It really underlines that just being eligible for express entry isn't static. Your chances depend heavily on these shifting strategic priorities.
So why should you, listening right now, care about all these intricate details? Well, understanding this stuff gives you really valuable insight into how international migration actually works today, how countries attract talent. It's not just about policy on paper, it's about the real mechanisms used to strategically shape a country's workforce and future. It's fascinating stuff. Okay, so just to quickly wrap up our deep dive today. We looked closely at that first August express entry draw, PNP only, 225 invites, and that big 49-point CRS drop from the last PNP round in July. We put it in context with the 2025 trends, that alternating PNP-CEC pattern, plus the targeted category-based draws for specific skills and French speakers.
Right, balancing regional needs, in-Canada experience, and national priorities.
And we revisited how the express entry system itself works, with the CRS score being that key ranking tool, making it merit-based and strategic.
And thinking about the implications. This intense focus on PMP and specific categories could signal a bigger shift, maybe away from broad skilled worker invitations towards a much more targeted, almost just-in-time system matching specific labor needs. General skilled worker pathways might become, relatively speaking, less dominant, pushing potential immigrants to align even more closely with what specific provinces or sectors are demanding. It's like the funnel is narrowing strategically.
That's a really interesting point to consider, a strategic narrowing, which leads to a final thought for you to ponder. What does this ongoing, very active balancing act in Canada's immigration strategy mean for the global competition for talent? And how might other countries look at this model, maybe adapt similar approaches as they all compete for skilled people? Something to think about. All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter again.